All right, what is good, ladies and gentlemen, is the Mass Reviewer back again with another review, and today we're doing a review for Planes. Yeah, this is going to be the first review with the new microphone, so that is pretty cool, so the audio should hopefully sound a lot better. I re-listened to the recording, and it does sound, it sounds better, I would say, but I do really like the fact that it just, blocks out the fan sound, which has been a consistent issue with the recordings on this channel, where it's just the fan sound in the background. It's very annoying, so I think that it does cancel out the noise from the fan, which is nice. So, and hopefully when I get to my dorm and I do some recordings without a fan, hopefully it'll sound even better there. So, yeah, anyway, so we are doing a review for the movie Planes. This is a spin-off. There are two Planes films, and they are spin-off movies of the Cars films. And so, yeah, with that said, let us just get into it, starting off with the... Actually, I think, I'll say this, I don't remember which, but one of the Planes films I did see in theaters, and I think it was probably the second one, if I'm being honest. I'm pretty sure I saw the second film in theaters, so I think that this one may be it's probably a first-time watch for me, but there is a chance I may have seen it at some point in the past, but if so, I completely did not remember anything from it. So, and let us just get into it, starting off with the plot. So the plot of the film is that basically there is this plane named Dusty Crophopper, and his dream is just to become a racer. It's a pretty standard, basic, generic kind of film of person, like a character that wants to be great at something, but no one believes in them because of their background, basically. It's the same as GOAT. It's the same as Surf's Up. It's honestly like we've seen this kind of film before. Basically, he is a crop duster. So no one thinks he can be a racer, and the film is basically him proving everyone wrong, basically that he can be a racer. So, yeah, honestly, I don't really have to get into the details more so than that. If you've seen that kind of film, that's pretty much all that happens. Here, I'll just mention a few, specific details. There's an enemy. I'll kind of speak about the plot and characters intertwined. I would say just the plot itself, I'm going to give, I would say, probably I don't know. It's pretty generic, to be honest. So it doesn't really do anything new, anything special, I would say. So I'm just gonna give the plot a 2 out of 5. It's fine. It's I didn't really like it too much, but I wouldn't say I hate it. So yeah, and yeah, we'll get more into the specifics, I guess, with the characters. And so Dusty himself is the one that the story follows, where he is a crop duster plane. He wants to be a racer, and he has a fear of heights. So that leads to him during the race that he actually ends up entering. It's called the World Rally, something like that. So he ends up flying much lower compared to every other plane. The other planes that are competing, there's one called El Chupacabra, who is the first friend that Dusty kind of makes there. There's a British plane called Bulldog who is competing. There is Ishani, who is a plane, I think, from India. She is competing, and then she's kind of I think, the love interest for Dusty, and then it's revealed that she is on the same team as the villain of the film. The villain of the film is Rip Slinger. Yeah, he is voiced by Roger Craig Smith, which was pretty cool to see. Big Roger Craig Smith fan. I think he's a great voice actor, and so yeah, he voices the villain. And yeah, his whole motivation is just that he wants to win his 4th world rally. He won the previous 3 races, the previous 3 races of the race that they're competing in, and so he wants to win the 4th one. And he very much looks down upon Dusty because of him being a crop duster and stuff, and him being a farm boy and stuff. So yeah, that's his antagonistic nature in the film. Besides them, there is Skipper, who is the plane. He is a warplane that Dusty, at the beginning of the film, he asks him to train him because Dusty thinks that Skipper, he went on all these missions and stuff, and he's like a true veteran plane. But it is revealed by the end of the film, towards the end of the film, it is revealed that actually Skipper only went on one mission and it went really horribly wrong. And it's actually a pretty dark scene. It's Skipper with his air troop, and they end up going on I think a spotting mission or something, just to do some surveillance, and a reconnaissance mission, basically. And then they end up in enemy territory, and every single plane on his crew just ends up getting shot down, which really brings up implications of what is. I guess it's not the first time, because Cars 2 had a bunch of guns and stuff, and very much this is a world that there are conflicts that I guess involve cars killing each other, I guess. So, but yeah, it did catch me a bit off guard with this supposedly supposed to be a kids film. So that just felt a bit it wasn't extremely violent or anything, but it was just a bit of a tonal whiplash, I want to say, maybe. But yeah, anyway, so it's revealed that basically he only went on one mission and went horribly, and so Dusty gets upset at him because he lied and he made up all these stories about him in war and stuff. And yeah, but by the end of the film, he redeemed himself by helping Dusty win the race by stopping Rip Slinger and his 2 henchmen that are trying to cause Dusty to crash and stuff. So Any other characters? There are some of Dusty's friends. I think Dottie and Chug. They're just some people from Dusty's hometown that are there throughout the film. I guess there is Sparky. I think the handler of like the person that helps out Skipper. Besides them, I don't know, an announcer here or there. Yeah, there's not. I think that's pretty much all the characters I think I mentioned by at this point. So, yeah, in terms of the characters, I don't really love any of them. I would probably just go like a. I don't think there's Rochelle also. I forgot to mention her. She's like the love interest for El Chupacabra, I think. So, I honestly don't really care for any of these characters, and I would probably, yeah, I don't know. I would say like maybe a 5 out of 10, like maybe not good or bad. But honestly, it's more so leaning on the bad side, I would say. So it's like I'm thinking either a 4.5 or a 5, and I'll just be very generous. I'll give it like a 5 out of 10. I'll say like they're very just neutral characters. I just don't really care anything about them. They don't do anything interesting with any of these characters, so I'm just going to say a 5 out of 10. In terms of these settings, you do so definitely compared to the Cars franchise, you do have like a lot more settings that you do see with this being a race around the world, whereas in Cars, basically like in the first film, it's basically Radiator Springs you see, and besides that, it's just the racetracks of the actual first and final race that Lightning McQueen is in. The second film, you do have a bit more of like, you do see some global locations where they go to Japan, they go to France, I think they go to Italy, I'm pretty sure if I'm not mistaken. So the second film does have some nice locations. With the third film having like also it just goes back to kind of racetracks and stuff. This film, the nature of it being like a world race, you do see like a lot of a good amount of locations, like some snowy areas. I'm pretty sure Nepal, I think they're at. Japan, if I'm not mistaken, at one point were they in Japan actually? They went to Nepal, they went to, I think they showed like the location that Mater and Lightning McQueen were at in Cars 2, so where else were they? They were in some desert areas towards the end, they were in New York, they were in Mexico, I think I think they were in Japan, I'm pretty sure, because they would have had to cross the Pacific, and they crossed the Pacific, I think, it might have been from Nepal actually, so yeah, I don't remember if they were in Japan or not, but anyway, so they do go to multiple different locations around the world, and so I did think that settings-wise, it's also like the fact that the racetracks in Cars, basically it's just very repetitive of like the same area, but here there is like different, it's not the most creative with like the terrain, I guess, that they go through. It does seem, I know most in my mind, I think like, okay, they're planes, can't they just fly over most of the obstacles that they're going up against? But yeah, that's not always the case. I guess I would give these settings probably I'll just go like a 5.5. I'll say decent settings, but not anything like amazing, I would say. So in terms of the visuals, I think the visuals, honestly, they're a bit worse. This is not by Pixar, so I did notice at points where it's like the visuals, maybe the animation or the art style, I don't know what it was, but it did look definitely noticeably worse in some cases compared to the actual Cars franchise, which already the Cars franchise does not really have one of my favorite art styles or anything, so this by proxy, the art style is pretty much the same as the Cars franchise. This is like still the same universe and stuff, so visual-wise, I did not really care too much. I will say this, I do really like the fact, like, in Cars, it's basically just like cars driving around and stuff. With planes, you do have like a bit more movements that the planes are able to do, especially I think one of my favorite scenes in the film is actually the qualifying round where Dusty and like other planes, they have to like go through this obstacle course. I thought it was very nice with like all the knife cuts, whatever they called that, the maneuver where the planes would have to like turn on their sides and like make it through like past certain obstacles. So I thought those visuals of like the planes maneuvering through obstacles, those were pretty cool, I would say. But that is the only thing I could really mention about the visuals. Besides that, there is nothing really. I guess the war scene was actually kind of cool with like just a bunch of gunfire and shots going off. That was visually like it did make me feel like, okay, well, we just entered World War II or some shit, which actually maybe it was World War II that in the context of the scene, I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, in terms of the visuals, I'm just gonna give it like I'll go a 5. I don't really care for it too much. I'm just gonna say a 5. It wasn't good, it wasn't terrible though. So yeah, in terms of the worst thing, I think the worst thing was, I'm not sure, I don't really have anything in mind. I might just reuse the worst score, which was the plot, or I might come up with, I don't know, a lot of the side characters I don't really care for too much. I can't really think of anything. I don't know. Maybe the fact that this just feels like a really generic film, like it's a film that we have seen before. So I guess that aspect I would give probably, in terms of like how creative the film is, I guess I would give it like I'd have to go negative territory for this. So give me a second here. Let's get the score sheet out. Yeah, I'm going to say like just in terms of this film's creativity, like creativity-wise, it is pretty bad. I'm going to say like a 3.5. Like this feels like a very generic film. You could pretty much guess like what is going to happen like from the very start of the film. It's not anything like new or interesting really, so that is probably its biggest downside. That's just something that we have seen before, definitely. So And it's not even like Goat is all like here. Recently, I also reviewed Goat. That was a film that is also like it has a generic plot. It's like generic in the sense that it's like we know like it's the underdog story basically. But in Goat, it's like they have like a creative spin of like it's animals. It's like they've got some nice visuals, like a creative new game of Roarball. This is just like basic racing and stuff. It's not anything too interesting to go along with this already generic plot, which I would say that Goat had. Like Goat, Goat's the same type of story, like at its core, something like Surf's Up as well, but it's like they have a bit of, it's not just racing. Like when it's just racing, it's like there's no twist to it. Like Surf's Up, it's like, okay, surfing, it's got with it. In terms of Goat, it's like you have the whole game of Roarball, and it's like got a lot of other aspects of like Sony's visuals being very pleasing and stuff, and like the whole world of animals. It's like there's something to it where this is just basically, okay, anthropomorphic planes, which we've already seen, like we already got like anthropomorphic vehicles from the Cars franchise, and it's just a very basic story of like the underdog trying to win a race. And it's like it's not anything really. Yeah, I'm giving it a 3.5, pretty bad at creativity wise. And in terms of the best thing, I would say the best thing was probably just the qualifying round. I actually thought that was I would give it like a 6.5. I would say that was actually like probably my favorite scene from the film was the qualifying round. I thought that it was just cool to see Dusty Dusty as well as the other planes, like the maneuvering the obstacle course. I thought that was pretty good. I would say I'm giving it a 6.5. I'm giving it good. I wouldn't give it a 7. I wouldn't say, like, again, sometimes they interchangeably use terms that go with other scores, but that's not the actual score I would give it. So I'm giving it a 6.5. I'm going to say it was good. And yeah, that was my favorite part of the film, I would say. And I already, everything, all the extra notes I already mentioned up to this point, so I'm going to do the calculations. So King Crimson. All right, so it ends up coming out to about a 5 out of 10, and I think that's probably what I would give it. I would probably say it's not good, it's not bad, it's very generic. It's like, if you know the story, if you like it, I don't know, you're not going to get anything new out of this. It didn't do anything like terrible really, but it didn't do anything great either, so it's just a very solid 5 out of 10, I would say. Not good or bad. Maybe if I let it marinate, maybe it would shift slightly higher, slightly lower, but for now I'm just going to give it a 5 out of 10. Not good, not bad, just, yeah. And so yeah, that is pretty much all there is to it. So if you have any recommendations, any shows, movies, video game stories, anime, manga, web series, anything that you want me to review, leave it in the comments and I will maybe possibly check it out. With that said, that is pretty much all there is to it, so let's leave it at that.